Mondays through Fridays, 3. Mondays through Fridays, 3:30 to 4:30 p.m. In the newsroom, you can't afford to miss it. 4:30 p.m. In the newsroom, you can't afford to miss it. 4:30 p.m. In the newsroom, you can't afford to miss it.
Yeah, we are here once again with issues to be discussed, the issues that are bordering on the affairs of Nigeria. Recently, the federal government is trying to moot the idea of introducing a policy to replace medical personnel as a result of migration of the medical workers from Nigeria to abroad, probably to seek greener pastures. So we are going to discuss how this policy will be implemented in a way to replace medical personnel. This issue, we are going to look at it, what manner of policy to be introduced by the federal government and how it will replace the medical personnel in the country. Then secondly, we are going to look at the statement credited to President Muhammadu Buhari saying that fake news and misinformation are worsening insecurity situation as we have it in the country today. Fake news, misinformation, worsening insecurity. Then thirdly, we are going to look at the charge to the governors by the federal government, telling them that the call that they often made to the federal government in case of a natural disaster is unlawful. So why is the call to respond to natural disaster by the governors, why is it unlawful? Is it not within their right to make such call whenever we have disaster? Whenever they have disaster in their various states? Also, we are going to look at this comments too. So with me to discuss these issues today are my regular guests on the program. Shola Ajiboye is here with me in the house. Shola, you are welcome on the program.
Yeah, good afternoon, viewers, and it's my pleasure again to be here in the newsroom.
Sheyi Adeni is also here with me. Sheyi, you are welcome.
Good afternoon, viewers at home. I'm glad to be here.
All right, thank you. Now, let's start with the first topic of our discussion. Migration, federal government to introduce policy to replace medical personnel. Shola, what manner of policy and how will it replace how will such policy replace medical personnel?
Well, I must say that I have not had details of that policy, but I want to believe that it's a response to a lot of to news, to issues surrounding medical and health sector in Nigeria, okay. The challenges of the health sector, okay. Especially as it reflects personnel migration, okay. The high personnel migration in the health sector. So I've not seen the policy yet. I don't know what's the details of that policy, what the contents of that policy that will address, okay. The issues. Okay. But I believe that there have been so many contradictory statements, okay. from the government, from the Ministry of Health about health personnel, migration and all that. The Minister of Health at the time said Nigeria has enough medical doctors, and that another instance said that medical doctors have been leaving various health institutions, hospitals in droves. So you can see that there are two contradictions now. The minister believes that Nigeria has enough personnel, And in another sense, we are talking of migration in the health sector. So those are two contradictory statements. But then I believe that if anyone is saying that there are no challenges of personnel in the health sector, that person is just telling lies.
Okay.
Because I know, even from the local, from the immediate environment here, I know a lot of doctors, nurses, pharmacists who are leaving Nigeria, in droves. Most public hospitals in Nigeria today are with insufficient personnel, because a lot of medical doctors are leaving, either for Saudi Arabia, either for Canada, especially for Canada and Saudi Arabia. So, but I don't know how that policy will address the issue of replacement. Is what I don't know. Now, if you look, it's unfortunate that Nigeria spends a lot of money. They invest a lot of money to train medical personnel, medical doctors, and unfortunately, rather than the nation benefiting from these medical doctors, the federal government that spent huge amount of money to train them do not have any policy to retain them. And after such investments, the medical doctors leave. So maybe that policy will now address that. I don't know. But for you, if you're talking of replacement, it means maybe they want to recruit medical personnel. Are they recruiting from within or from without?
Okay.
So medical personnel are not easy to come by. They're not easy to come by. It's just like just let me make an analogy now. Just like a soldier who has, when you train a soldier from a captain to a general, do you know the investments? That's millions of naira, and then you expose that soldier to just die like that. That is just exactly what is. Before a doctor can be qualified, maybe as a graduate, as a HO, as a consultant, it takes a lot of time. So I wouldn't know what caliber of personnel, medical doctors, they are recruiting to replace the medical doctors that are living in droves, or from which source. Are they recruiting from abroad or from here? Are the conditions, then again the policy, how will the policy address the conditions of health personnel in this country? How will they help to retain health personnel? You know how many times the enemy has gone on strike? Just like ASU.
Yes.
So are you telling me that if those medical personnel, if they have opportunities abroad, they will not go? So, and will it be wise to import medical doctors, to recruit them from abroad, spending money to bring them here, when we have enough here that can be retained? So these are issues that I think the policy must have addressed.
Okay.
Don't let me say should address, because they now said that they have a policy that we can replace.
Yeah.
So I want to believe that that policy must have addressed all those issues.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Shala. Sheyi, migration, federal government to introduce policy to replace medical personnel. What, in your own opinion, what manner of policy will be introduced to replace the medical personnel, either by way of retaining them on their job in order to forestall the incidence of migration?
Thank you, Ricardo, once again. I think the first thing we need to look at is, even the Minister of Health said it in one of his statements, that he wasn't aware that medical personnel are leaving the country, that they don't have any shortage of personnel as far as medical attention is concerned, Medicare. But I want to take us back to 2020. The president of Doctor and Dental Association of Nigeria, Dr. Victor Makanjola, that was 2020. He said the ratio of doctor to a patient in Nigeria, the ratio is between 1 and 2,753, meaning that a doctor is attending to over 2,000 patients. That's at 2020. And even said that year, over 100 of his members left the country. So it shows that And it's what you can see. It's obvious. The condition, the working environment, the welfare, even the insecurity in the country. So it's a big concern to those that want to know, and as a medical personnel, that the working environment, the welfare is not, it's not commensurate with what you are doing. You want to live and you want to seek for where you can have a good life for yourself and that of your family. So I think the policy that they are talking about, like Bariko said, I have not seen the policy, but I think one of the policies we say is a 1-to-1, meaning that if one is leaving country to the one is leaving Nigeria to the one medical doctor or medical person is leaving the country today, the second day there will be a replacement for that person. So, and I don't know that kind of policy. I've not seen where that is practiced, and as of today, I'm a living witness to this. Last year, my elder sister fell sick here in Osun, and I know the numbers of complaints personally I received from doctors and nurses that are I know the kind of complaint about welfare, even about the number, the shortage of personnel. So it is obvious, and if government is now telling us that okay, what they want to, that there's no cause for alarm, that everything is okay, that is, they are just breaking that to make us to feel relaxed. Okay. That there's no, we know that there's a mountain there's a fire on the mountain.
All right, so thank you. Now let me come back to Shola. You see, this policy that the federal government intends to introduce is to replace medical personnel. Why not a policy to address the circumstances leading to the migration of the medical personnel?
That was what I raised earlier now. You see, the policy can only speak for that policy. Okay. If it will address the challenges facing the health sector. Okay. You see, we are talking of a situation. Do you know that Nigeria has never met the WHO standard in terms of personnel, that's of medical availability of personnel at all levels. Nigeria is yet to meet the WHO standard. And when you look at the giant strides, Nigerian medical doctors are performing abroad. Then you can't but weep for this country. You can't but ask questions that why must you allow what you have to be useful for others? Do you know that in this world today there's only one there's a medical doctor that can perform surgery, gynae surgery and heart surgery at the same time? There's only one doctor in this world who can do that, and that doctor is in Nigeria. It's a Yoruba man. So we have such, and there are many. In fact, there was a time I was in service. I interviewed. I had a medical doctor. He's from Oshogo here. Okay. I had an interview with him, and he said emphatically that that the government should ban medical tourism. That nobody should be allowed to go abroad to treat himself or herself. That they asked me. He said, the personnel that will do that, that if you come that those who seek medical treatment abroad, either in America and Europe, and when they come, that they are the ones that treat them. That if you go to any highbrow hospital in America or London or elsewhere, there's nowhere you go that you not find either an OB or Adekunle or Musa or F. Young, that those personnel, those medical personnel, those high status medical personnel, they are treating all manner of ailments. They are Nigerians. So it's that why can't Nigeria develop a system that will make these people stay? Why can't we domicile our resources? And when talking of domicile, when you're talking of resources in human, resources in material, we have everything. Why can't we domicile it? So why must anybody rush abroad to treat him or herself? Because when the person that you meet there He's a Nigerian. I've just said something. I've just said
Yeah.
there's a particular there's another medical doctor. I think I can't remember his name. He got healed during the COVID problem. I think maybe in Germany or one of these European countries. The government of that country had to seek medical doctors from everywhere, all surrounding countries that
Come
to
and
treat
him.
that man should not die. That man should have not, because he's a lifeline. I think he had. I think he's a specialist in a particular, is a unique field of medicine. The man is a Nigerian. So when I think some months, I think maybe early this year, when medical doctors went on strike, and then some of them decided to seek greener pastures abroad. The Saudi authorities they were so eager. They involved the embassy here to recruit as many as they can. And I know many have left. And they will be doing so well. They will be giving everything that they need. So why can't we give that here? Are we going to say, is government going to say it doesn't have the money to do that? Are we going to say we don't have the money to do that, to retain the best of our brains in everything here? Right. So if you want to replace, I wouldn't know what kind of replacement, because already we are so appallingly short of the WHO standard. So any policy will have to first of all address that. If you cannot even meet the standard 100%, we should meet it about 80 or 90%.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Sheyi. Now, what would you like the federal government to do in this regard? Is it to replace or to retain?
Thank you. I think the first thing the federal government needs to do is not about replacement.
Okay.
Like our boss said, what is causing these people to leave?
Okay.
So let us first tackle that. So before now say, okay, we're talking about if at least we cannot, it's not possible to satisfy everybody. Some people still want to go further so, but at least largely, if you have large number of people, medical personnel, staying back. So that is the area that we need to talk about, not the issue of replacement, but for them to wait, for them to stay, because the resources of this country, the government has spent a lot on these people, and now that it is time for them to give back to the society, to the country, so now leave. So it is Nigeria that is making a loss from that. So the first thing going into this to work on firstly about the welfare, the working condition of these people, and it's not limited to medical personnel. Every sector. We are not talking about medical personnel because we know the importance of a doctor or a medical personnel. So it's everywhere. But firstly, going to work on that, because as a matter of fact, you cannot be working and be working like an elephant and be earning like a rat. And when you know what your other colleagues outside are earning, and today we are in a global era that before you know it, you cross-check notes, we bring up ideas together, we brainstorm before you know it, and I cannot be as an individual that God created like yourself. So somebody somewhere is earning 1 million naira, for example, and I'm here working like an elephant, earning less than 200,000. So automatically, and I have opportunity to leave. Yeah. So something I will leave. So that is the area the federal government, and to be sincere with ourselves, if government is talking about fund, talking about getting the necessary fund for them, it is when it comes to masses that they complain that if it's to be to the downside, they know how to maneuver their ways to make it happen. But when it comes to masses, that's where we're coming in the issue of we have to take for example the issue of ASU. So that's one telling us we don't have fund. The little one we have, let us work on it, and the best thing for us to do, because normally what the WHO said about medical personnel to patient is ratio 1 to 5 or 600. So a doctor, a medical personnel must at least attend to 5 to 600. But in Nigeria today, as of 2020, we have 1 to over 2,000, close to 300 3,000 patients. So it is. There is no way that such a medical personnel will not be overworked. And certainly, and when asked what is any, they want to leave. So what the government should do is to first working at the working environment, the welfare of them.
Yeah.
So when we have to take care of their welfare, once I have good package, and the environment is okay for me,
okay.
the environment is secure.
Yes.
If my children are in the school, I have peace of mind. There's no way to. And as a matter of fact, even those that are there, they also complain that there is no place like home. If you are a billionaire over there, you can't compare the way you live your life to someone that's just a millionaire here. So they have no choice; they have to be there. So, but if government can work on that, to work the working environment, the package, I think that is the first thing to do.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. Let's move to the second topic of our discussion: fake news, misinformation, worsening insecurity. That is coming from PMB. Shola. Fake news, misinformation, how is it worsening insecurity?
In the first instance, if there's a type of news that is worsening security, what actually were the factors responsible for the fake news? What's the misinformation? What are those factors that are engineering it? Now, you can be misinformed when there is no proper briefing from you. People can be misinformed when those who are expected to give the necessary information, either from the government or the people, are shying away from doing it, or they are trying to mislead, or they are trying to do cover ups that will not, that at the end of the day will further expose the government. So when you're talking of information, there must be that flow from the government to the governed. There must be no shenanigans. It is only when people are trying. The problem is that the information managers of government, they tend to see issues of national importance within the prisms of politics. And when you see issues that cannot just be subjected to political maneuverings, you let it go. Okay, we are talking of, for instance, let me allude to the Yoruba agenda now. The Yoruba agenda. If I were to be, as a governor of a state, yes, you can say a governor has allegiance to his political party, okay, and the government that is produced. But the issue of Yoruba agenda is beyond politics. See, we are talking of a race now, of a race. So the issue that concerns the Yoruba nation as a race is beyond the realm of politics. So I expect an information manager of government to treat that issue the way it is, so that the government will know exactly how to handle it. But what do we find? Those information managers will rather hide behind one finger, or try to hide behind one finger, trying to de-emphasize what actually cannot be de-emphasized. So that is why, those are the reasons why misinformation thrives. And when you don't give room for clear information, a lot of mushrooming of information will come to forth. And the social media, of course, they will speculate. They will carry out wrong information, because in the first instance, most of his personnel are not trained. They don't know which one is information, which one is professional information. So because government is not forthcoming on the true situation of things, then you allow fake news to thrive. So it's the issue, the national issues should be treated as national issues. And issues that have to do with security, economic well-being, social welfare, empowerment, all those things, they are humanist in nature. They cannot be treated within the realm of politics. Because we're talking of hunger now. Does hunger know an Hausa man, or a hungry man in Sokoto It's the same thing with the hungry man in Ikotepene. He doesn't know whether there's no respect of any ethnic or religious affiliation. So issues that concern the nation, the people, should be treated as national issues, and then any report on that should be handled professionally without any bias.
Yeah.
So we continue to have this until the handlers of government, business, information management until they see issues of national importance as something that cannot be embellished.
Yeah. Okay. Say, fake news, misinformation, worsening insecurity. How do you think fake news and misinformation are the factors worsening insecurity, like the president said?
I think like what Abanipo said, the first thing for us to get, maybe we should say this, that a journalist, trained journalist, is empowered to get information from appropriate quarters.
Okay.
But any attempt to try to shy away from that fact, maybe from the quarters, so there's tendency for us to have a kind of, as a matter of fact, if you are preparing your report as a trained journalist, and you need to get a reaction from other angles, and they're not ready to give you, it will embellish in your report. You include that attempt to speak with so prove about you, and that is not helping the situation. It's not helping the society, because as a leader, maybe I say this as a veteran, like about report, maybe you take some things up going forward. Those in the position of leadership, maybe there's need for us to have a kind of training for them. That if you are occupying this position, maybe as a governor, even as a local government chairman, you are expected to give accurate information about your territory, about your governor, about your government, about what is happening in your administration. So that is because it is your responsibility to give people accurate information. Now, if you are not, I think we've discussed it here, where we have media handlers, the handlers of those in the process that are not ready to give out information. And with due respect to this government, the federal government, before they came into power in 2015, we know how they make use of media.
Yes.
In fact, as a matter of fact, they form part of what we call propaganda today. With due respect, because then I could remember, and during the era of Boko Haram, and the two bombers, the northern part of the country. It is this Honorable Commissioner for Information, Minister of Information, Lai Mohammed, was the spokesperson for the APC, ACN there before they became APC. He will be the first one to release a press statement, even before the government. That this and there's no way we can give accurate because you are not there. You've not getting appropriate information from those at the forefront. So there's no way you try to give out a kind of information that you want your people to know. So that is the area. As a person, as an individual, I detest fake news because if you know how it works, you don't want to, in fact, have anything to. Even those that are the poverty of fake news, don't have anything to do with it because we have them. We have blackmailers. That what they do is just to blackmail. It's not to send fake news. It's just to create unnecessary tension in society. So I detest it better. And the advent of social media, the internet today, it has helped a great deal. As we are in the studio now, I can post something out the air now. Maybe the social where there is a breakdown of blood. Before you know it, people have running a skater. But at the same time, the government needs to take this so serious that they are the one to give out necessary information, accurate information, and objective, not biased one. The test of any lies or any other thing, any other conversation. Give out. If you are giving out true information, there won't be any problem for the people to believe you. But you are not giving, because like the Bible say that a medium if you are telling me lies, if I don't know, you will know that you are telling me lies. So there is no way to cannot miss it. So if they give us accurate information, there won't be any. At least if there are going to be fake news, it will be very, very minimal. So that is
all right. Sheyi, thank you. Let me come back to Shola. With this era of social media and the way people are using it, don't you even if government does not engage in any act that could make the fake news thrive, with the way people are using social media now, don't you think this fake news will not still thrive, even if the government does not allow it to thrive?
It will thrive. It will thrive as long as government tries to hide what is not hidden or what cannot be hidden. It will thrive as long as professionals are denied the opportunity to perform optimally.
Yeah.
It will thrive as long as government engages in unnecessary cover-ups. It will thrive as long as government remains dishonest in the handling of affairs of Nigeria. So it will, because you can't possibly regulate the social media as you can regulate the professional media, the conventional media. So, and the world is digital. There's no information you can, if you try to hide any information, it will only result in speculations and outright lies by unprofessionals. So there's nothing government can do. There's nothing we can do about it. As long as the society is still handled in a kind of a secret code. Like, look at America now.
Yeah.
The American presidency cannot just hide anything. It's not possible. The White House correspondent will be the first one to even break it. The White House correspondent does not owe allegiance to the White House. He or she owes allegiance to his media establishment, and he will report whatever is happening. So that is the difference that you see. So as long as government does not develop the kind of an open channel that people can interact, that you can elicit information as much as you want, and then such information are not biased, they are not manipulated. As long as the citizens have the right, have access to government information, have access to issues that are of importance to Nigeria. As long as such is happening, then. But as long as government remains what it is, trying to hide facts, trying to substitute facts with fiction, trying to gag the press or whatever, trying to manipulate opinions of people, so long will fake news thrive.
Okay. Sheyi, fake news, misinformation. How do we tame these monsters in our society?
But I said it. Our leaders, those in government, must be ready, because there is little that we can do to gag fake news, or to gag misinformation. Now that we are having this social media, and when you are not telling the truth, there's tendency that for me to read your mind, maybe at least not 100% correct, but at least half correct. So once I don't have able to do that, I will go on to give out the information. But the moment you are ready to tell us what is happening, maybe in your government, so at least the issue of fake news has to be. And secondly, because I am not in support of raising a bill, to gag social media, because it's not something that it's not within the purview of even Nigeria government to this. We don't want this. Yes, it happened last year when the Twitter was banned for some while. We know what happened. Even we know Nigerians that suffered it. Because we have some people, as we speak today, they don't have office, they don't have physical office. What they have is this is their cell phone. That's where they trade. That's where they make their money legitimately. Not the Yahoo one. We have those that are online doing their plain business, and they are making their money. So we know those that suffered the ban there. So, but what the government should do is try to live up to expectation, give out accurate and update of what is happening. So that won't be any room for speculation. There won't be able to presume that maybe you are hiding some fact, or you are not don't want to like. It happened to me last year when there had the kind of scenario that happened. That was, one top echelon of the Saudi service went to beat another officer of the same establishment. To the that he assaulted him, teared his clothes. That I was trying to get the reaction of the person that got involved, and he was not ready to tell me the truth. Meanwhile, I have in-house sources that informed. I gave me even they load that both the video and the photo to back it up, and he was not ready to take it. He was denying it. Not as that I now sent the video to him. Okay, is it not you? And this for now I know, my brother. This is once you are able to tell the truth. People will not speculate. People will not presume that this is what is happening and it's not happening. So once we are able to do that, at least we'll be able to reduce. And even the media houses have a lot to do, even with their personnel also. Some trained, I'm saying it here, some trained journalists, they are not. They are, these days they have been maybe carried away or by sentiment or people in the government or they don't want to offend some people. So they are not playing to their tools. If I engaged some last week. You don't give out when you are not sure of information. You don't give it out. The issue that happened at Ode, the attack of the government. And I was telling someone that I spoken personally. I've called the PRO of police, the PRO of civil defense. They have not given us accurate information. So I cannot go ahead to tell people what is happening. And you have went ahead to post that one person will be killed. And you now see the kind of tension we have created in that environment. Yes. So we need to also work on that, also to tame this issue of fake news. And it is possible, it is doable, provided if our government, those authorities are ready to also comply and to give out necessary information.
All right. Thank you, Sheyi. Thank you. Let's move to the third topic of our discussion. Now, federal government to governors call to respond to natural disaster unlawful. Shola, how is it unlawful? If there is a disaster in a particular state and the state governor call on the federal government to come and assist, now the federal government says it is unlawful to make such call. Why? Why is it unlawful?
I don't know what kind of laws that the state governments can possibly breach, but I know that I think there's a Ministry of Humanitarian and Disaster Management at the federal level. Yeah. You see, this is what is often seen as one of the, or as major crisis, as components of the major crisis that we are facing. You know, the Constitution, we keep saying that this Constitution does not guarantee the rights, privileges, and aspirations of Nigerians. The Constitution is the greatest, well, in fact, one of the greatest enemies of this country today, the 1999 Constitution. Because it has overburdened, overburdened, it has given so much to a government without responsibility. It has given so much to the federal government without commensurate responsibility. What is the business of the federal government in disaster management? What is the business of federal government in environmental management? What is the business of federal government in agric? What is the business of federal government in housing, in water resources? What is the business of federal government? But you just packed so many things on the is it not an exclusive list without commensurate responsibility. So we just have power without responsibility. The state governments are in better positions to address environmental and disaster management in their respective states. Even the local government should have a sizable chunk of that responsibility, and of course the funds and the logistics for it. But we are now, how many states as the Minister of Environmental and Disaster Management? How many states does he know? I think it's a woman.
She's a woman.
How many states does she know? How many states does she know? How many states has she ever taught to inquire about the environmental and ecological problems
that they are having
in their states? How many? So it's just power without responsibility. And unless the constitution is either reviewed or jettisoned,
Okay.
then we continue to have lopsided policy, policy decisions and implementation. I don't believe that disaster management should be the concern of the federal government. It should be the concern of the states. And right, okay, if you now, of course, would take it as it be now. I mean, the constitution is still there. What law has any governor or governors breached by calling on federal government for disaster, for emergency? Since we have a ministry of disaster management, at the federal level. In what, I don't know what kind of law that the government has, that any state governor or government could make for calling on the federal government to respond to, since they have a minister of they have a ministry of disaster management. And you know that there's a provision for ecological funds,
Yes.
isn't it,
Yes.
for governors?
Yes.
So all I'm saying is that if that provision is not adequate enough, let them transfer, let them give the responsibility, the funding and responsibility to the state governments. Who are in better positions to manage it. So we really need to, the stakeholders really need to sit down and review certain things that are not making this country workable.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Shala. Sheyi, federal government to governors call to respond to natural disaster on love. Why is it on love?
I think the first thing we need to get clear is both the state and the local government will continue to call on the federal government to assist them, in as much the government is not ready to practice true federalism. Today, do we have local government in existence? The local government has been killed. Nothing is happening at the grassroots, at the local government level. And this is a tier it's an arm of tier of government. Yeah. So not until now, I read a report where they specify that at least a certain percentage of allocation is meant for both ecological and the ecology and the other this and that is meant for local government. How many local governments are getting their accurate allocation? So assuming they allow the local government to function, so there's little or even nothing to call on federal government. If there's need to call for federal government to assist, that would have been a very monumental, large loss that maybe the allocation of the fund cannot take care of. But as we speak today, we don't have any local government. We only want to decide ourselves. I think we have a local government that is collecting its normal, accurate allocation. So we'll be able to take care of all this we are talking about. And unfortunately, today our local government chairman are the mercy of the state governor. As we speak now, they will get the allocation for the local government. They will move that because of this NFIU whatever. They will move that money to the local government and they will now collect the money of cash, take it back to the state level. So they will not just give the local government the normal the current expenditure of paying salaries and the other things. So little impress and the likes. And the same way you use the remaining one. So the state government and so we will continue to call on the federal government to assist. But the moment the federal government is ready to allow this local government to practice, to have true federalism, I think there's little to that. And if that is not in place, where we want to? Okay. We want to federal government.
Shola, is it true federalism that can adequately address this issue, like say yes?
Yes, of course. Yes, of course. Everybody knows that what we have as our constitution is anathema to the wishes and aspirations of Nigerians as espoused by their founding fathers. Nigeria was founded on the basis of federalism. I'm talking of true federalism. a federalism that will allow the component parts of the country to grow at their rate and to have access to their resources. Access to the control, access, control, and management of their resources. So until we return to that scenario, we can't get it right. I'm telling you that. Do you know that Mineral Resources found that there's in this state today, there's hardly any local government in this state that does not have one component of mineral resources, either gold, either phosphate, either talcum, either whatever, of different species. What are the benefits of these mineral resources to the states that have them? Can there be a federal government without states? Can there be a state without local government? So we need to jettison this constitution and return to basis. Let the resources of this country be managed by those which produce them. Let the wealth come back. The money should go back to those who have it. And it's just a percentage of that money should just be taken to the center. The center should be whittled down to a very minimal level, so that the level of irresponsibility that we have at the center, we just go. The responsibility should be taken to the states and local governments, where the people live. Government is determined by the population of the people, where they live, their social activities, their economic needs. That is what government is all about.
All right. Thank you. Sheyi, quickly before we round up, do you subscribe to the notion that we should go back to the basis for the country to get it right?
No doubt. I think it was not 2 or 3 weeks ago we discussed about agitation, secession, and the likes. And if we have true federalism, that what is meant for our state is coming to our state, what is meant for the northern part is going. At least there will be little or no agitation. So I think not until we are able to return to that we can have a very close to democratic setting. Because what you have today is just somebody just to associate to them. This is after 4. If President Buhari should call Governor Itola now, that report in Abuja now, the next is for Mr. Governor to move to Ibadan to take available flights. Abuja. So not until, and he's the governor of his state. He's the chief security officer of the state, though on paper. But not until we're able to have that, and I will subscribe also to the issue of this constitution. The problem we're having, it starts from this, the constitution they gave to us. We are not the owner of that constitution. As a matter of fact, they gave it to us. Not we're able to get in and have a very new one that all of us will now come back to the round table. That this is how we want to govern. This is how we want to be ruled. This is how we want to go about it. But if we still continue to have this constitution, we will have a crisis as we go on.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming on the program today.
Thank you.
Bella, I appreciate your coming. Thank you very much.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Yeah. Sheyi, thank you for coming on a regular basis.
My pleasure to
Thank
be
you
here
very
once
much.
again. Thanks so much.
Viewers at home, this is where we're going to round it up for today. Join my colleagues tomorrow, same time, in the newsroom. Until then, I am Kayode Adebayo. Bye-bye.
Mondays to Fridays, 3:30 to 4:30 p.m. In the newsroom, you can't afford to miss it.